The Underground Affair, Part 2 ending, Part 1 down below. A couple days ago, actually the same day as my last post, only later in the afternoon, I was sitting at home with the kids, and my wife was out for the afternoon. Our son, a bit over a year old, came in with my wife's iPad, and was messing around with it in my room. No big deal, both kids play with it all the time. It's amazing how well even a baby can operate it, although he's pretty random about what he can accomplish. Anyhow, after a little while of that he starts saying mama, mama, and I look down to see that he's opened her email, and there's a picture on screen. The picture of my wife's face and shoulder, possibly naked or possibly wearing a tank top, in our bed, in an email to another man and dated about 6 days ago, long after we both promised to stop dating. Flirting divided by pursuing romantic interests. I can only imagine the context of whatever text, chat she was involved in with this man that she felt compelled to send a "this is what I look like in bed right now" picture. Then, yesterday, she went out for the afternoon and came back heavily doused in perfume, which she normally doesn't even wear, and was acting weird all day afterwards. I know that I'm normally bad about jumping to conclusions, and I am trying to keep an open mind, but this whole situation sort of points me towards a certain obviousness. I decided enough is enough, and I wrote her an email, which I sat on for 2 days, and finally sent to her this morning before I left for work, after tweaking the phrasing 100 times. She hasn't yet replied in any fashion, but she's got her phone in her hand 24/7, so I'm sure she's seen it. I'm going to post it here for people's thoughts, with names removed. Dear wife, I've been struggling with whether or not I should send this email to you, but I know that if I don't it will just fester and make me angrier, and I'm so very done with being angry at you. This past Monday, October 26th, as I was sitting playing on the computer, our son comes in with the iPad and plops it down on the bed. He plays with it a bit, and then starts saying mama, mama. I look up from my game, and there on the screen is a picture of you in our bed, in bedclothes, in an email to some dude calling himself, some B. A bedroom selfie, specifically directed to another man, and sent on October 22nd, long past the time we agreed to stop having that sort of interaction with others. A man who, I suspect, you've at least considered meeting, and possibly already have. Maybe even yesterday, Tuesday, Oct. 27, which might explain why you were acting so weird when you came home, and why you had inexplicably doused yourself in perfume. I want to believe this isn't the case, but I simply can't be sure. Regardless of whether you've yet met with him or any other man though, the fact of the image still remains. I closed it and sat there in silence for a while. I tried to forget what I had seen. I wanted to pretend it was nothing and just choose to trust you, but it's eating at my heart. I can't do that, wife. I'm not even angry, in all honesty. I don't think I could fight about it right now if I tried. I'm just sad, disappointed, and utterly tired of feeling misled and deceived. I don't care what your explanations are, wife. I don't care how you justify it, how you met him, who you claim he is or isn't, or whether he's not relationship material. It doesn't matter anymore. What's done is done. You took the picture, you sent the picture, the motivation, context, and whether it was your idea or his are irrelevant. If this is there in the open for our son to find, I can't even imagine how far down the rabbit hole this goes or the extent of the secrets you're keeping hidden on your phone and in your heart. I can only imagine what you're chatting about with this guy late at night that you are compelled to send a "this is what I look like in bed right now" pic. I am worth far more than this, wife. Our 11 years together are worth more. Keeping our family together is worth more. I have loved you through everything. Somehow after all of this I still love you and I want very much for you to be happy, but this is the final line in the sand. If this is why you need space, if a secretive life filled with dirty chats and late-night bedroom pictures shared with other men is what you need to be happy, then I won't interfere. If you are willing to continue this sort of behavior after we promised to stop, then it speaks volumes about how little you value me. The secrets, lies, and half-truths you're accumulating during this period of space are a cancer that will kill any effort to rebuild our relationship before it starts, even if you eventually decide you are willing to do so. I promised to give space and time until December 1st so you could make up your mind, and I will hold to that. I therefore refuse to fight about this or even discuss it further for the time being. I do, however, want you to think long and hard about how the actions of the present affect the possibilities of the future. If you're actually serious that you want to be together in the long term and you want there to be any shred of love left to build on, then eventually you will have to make a choice. If there's ever going to be a chance to recover, the time will come where you will need to honestly put everything on the table, every secret, lie, and deliberate omission that you are accumulating during this time. You will need to completely cease contact with all other men until you and I are in a good place again or we decide to go our separate ways. If that's not something you are going to be willing to do when the time comes, then you should do me the justice of telling me now. If that's the case, then it's obvious what's really important to you and how little you actually care about my feelings or about being together in the long term. If you prioritize keeping secrets and chatting or spending time with other men over openness, honesty, and repairing our marriage, then that is your choice. I won't try to stop you. I will, however, be forced to go and get the process started immediately for our divorce, as well as investigate some ways I've found to sell the house without losing our investment. If sneaking around, keeping secrets, and fulfilling your needs through other men are what you choose to do with your time and space, then with all my heart I hope you can find the peace and happiness you need. But I utterly refuse to waste one more second of my life waiting for you to recognize my worth and realize what you're giving up. With incredible sadness, your husband and lover of 11 years. I've contacted a divorce mediator, and I'm going to the bank to check into what I need to do to sell the house and none of us lose our investment. That way when we do split, we can at least each take half of the equity and use that to start our new life. I don't mean her ill, and I don't want to screw her over, but this relationship and situation are far too toxic for me to stay in as it stands. It's making me into a terrible person, causing me to think thoughts and do things that I never would have done before. As much as I want to reconcile, I just cannot live like this, and if she's willing to behave like she is while convincing me that I'm crazy and have trust issues, I just can't deal with it anymore. Tonight, when I get home, I am initiating full silent treatment on all matters other than the essential minimum. We have a counselor appointment together on set which we may or may not go to, at which I may have things to say, and I suspect she will too, but otherwise, I am going to insist that anything she wants to say to me she puts in email so I have a record of it, and I will not engage with her if she tries to goad me into fighting. It's just been so hard to pull the trigger. She's very good at convincing me that I'm overreacting and she has legitimate excuses. It's time though to end this crap. Either she puts it all on the table and stop messing around, or I'm out. Well, tonight is the night to end all nights. I told her she needed to come clean on everything, full transparency, if we were ever to be able to work on it. She told me that she did, in fact, sleep with the first other man, on the very day that I caught her on her date with him. She also told me that she's been having cyber affair with all kinds of random dudes, and that she just last week slept with a random guy, and she blamed that one on me because I was mad at her the day before. I told her that I wanted to try to forgive her if she really felt bad and sorry about it. But even though she said she did, she refused to apologize. I cannot do this anymore. We are now divorcing for sure. I wrote her another email, explaining my situation and telling her what's up. It's below. Dear wife, I know that I said I would forgive, and that I would not hold your indiscretions against you, but I just can't do that. These things you have done are simply unforgivable for me. I know now that I can absolutely never be with you again, no matter what you say or promise. You have thrown away the last chance we might have had. It could have been recovered after you slept with first guy. I could have forgiven just that. You could have come clean and never done it again. You could have abstained from the cyber affair, and you could have kept from sleeping with second guy. Instead, you chose to do that, specifically to retaliate against me for the fact that I was angry at you for being sneaky and deceitful. I hope it was worth it. I hope both times were worth it. I hope having someone talk dirty to you while you played with yourself was worth it. I loved you, but the woman you've become is a loathsome human being, a pathetic liar, and a cheating W. You were married, and still are, but you've proven that you lack the moral compass to recognize the importance of vows over personal enjoyment. The very fact that you feel justified in your behavior proves without a doubt that you don't even deserve my forgiveness. One day you are going to realize what you threw away here, what you traded a couple nights of bonding and good times for. One day you will recognize that you threw away a man who, with all his faults, loved you dearly. You will realize that your selfishness drove the father of your children away. You were my one and only, the love of my life. We were supposed to have a happily ever after and raise our kids together. Now I'm going to have to constantly worry about the kind of man you might bring around them. We are divorcing. I no longer have any desire at all to make this work. I will not forgive someone who won't even apologize and instead points the blame at me. We are putting the house up for sale as soon as possible. If we need to take the loss, so be it. If what you say is true about the 6-month period, I might be able to get my friend to go in with me to buy a place in the new year to save us the fees, but if not, we will take the loss. I no longer care about saving it or getting you your investment back. I would rather lose the money than spend one more minute having to live with you. I'd suggest you call your work and let them know you'll need to get back on active duty at SAP. Tomorrow I am making us an appointment for the divorce mediators to begin the process of settling the paperwork and resolving all necessary issues. The sooner we can get that started, the sooner we can start our new separate lives. You may as well cancel the counselor appointment. There's not a damn thing he can do to help us now. If we're lucky we can get an appointment for Seta to go to Waterloo and talk to the mediators. Aside from matters of the divorce, the home, or the kids, I do not want to speak to you ever again. With ultimate regret, me. She had slept with 3 different men in less than a month, including me, while lying to me about it all and pretending she wanted to someday reconcile. Who knows, maybe that wasn't a lie, but she sure as hell won't be getting that now. There are no more chances. It's done. I could have forgiven her if she had apologized, but she acted so smug and self-justified, as though I were the cause of her behavior and I deserved what I got. I took a personal day at work for today. I'm on my way out the door as soon as I finish my coffee and cereal. Going to the bank to start separating our accounts and then to a lawyer and a mediator to start the process of finally extricating myself from this filthy liar. I'm going to lose a lot of money in the process of selling the house, but it's a small price to pay for the peace of mind of no longer being beholden to her. One day, after she goes from man to man to man for a while, she's going to realize what she lost. Every time I talk to her, she's able to drag me back a bit at a time. I find myself feeling like maybe, just maybe, now that she's come clean, we might be able to get our crap together and start over. She seems genuinely sorry. The cyber affair, now that she's explained how it went down, is really not very high on the list of offenses. She said that she never had a good time during it, just used it to get herself fired up beforehand. Not that it's an excuse in the strictest sense, but in a way it's a lot like watching porn, which I do, so I can't fault her for wanting some extra stimulation in that way. That said, in the future if we somehow get back together, highly doubtful, but whatever, if she dabbles in a bit of dirty talk online and then comes and screws the hell out of me, I can probably get behind that. Like I said, it's almost like watching porn, and I've watched more than my fair share of that. I just want it to be done, now. Part of me though, the part that keeps shrinking but is still loud enough to be heard, believes that now that she's finally come clean, we might be able to move forward and build something new. I'm definitely not committing to it though, but she does have her own counseling appointment. Tomorrow morning, we have a previously scheduled MC session tomorrow afternoon, and I have my own personal psych appointment on Tuesday, so maybe we can start to gather the tools we need to build something new on the ashes of what was. It's going to take a lot of work, from her to prove she's seriously sorry and for me to be able to forgive, but if I can, I still, for some reason, want to. I am certain she has some deep-seated physical problem. Possibly she was abused as a child or something, but she's never said anything about it. I know I've got my own problems that make the whole thing worse too. I know, everyone has problems. I'm not taking the blame for her behavior as much as she wants me to, but I know that if we're going to heal ever, I need to be able to truly forgive, just as she needs to be truly sorry. I should just boot her out. I keep going back and forth between wanting to do that, and then realizing how badly my life will be screwed and how she'll use the kids against me and such. That, and I really was a crappy husband in the first place, not that that excuses her behavior, but I just wonder if we could find the goodness again and if I could be the husband I should have been and she could be the wife she should have been. I have a feeling I'm following a certain pattern though, and that I'm not the only one who's been through this exact situation. But still, she was always so honest before. I know in my heart that she never cheated, at least physically, before the separation. It's just the kind of person she is. She wanted to, probably, but felt she needed to separate first. I feel like if we could possibly get a reset we could maybe try again, but I just don't know how to do it yet, and I really don't know how to trust her. I know she feels bad about the first guy. I could see it in her eyes when she told me. After they had slept together, she said she started to cry and was really upset, because it wasn't me. I can forgive that one more easily, because I can tell that she's genuinely sorry about it. But to do it again, with another guy, and this one she did strictly because she and I had a fight the day before, and I called her a liar and a cheater. Turns out that I was right, but still, she even acted like this one was justified. Like I deserved it because of how I treated her the day before. I mean, I was viciously mean to her and called her some nasty stuff, but to be fair, she was doing exactly what I said she was. She says she's sorry about this one too, and that she will never do it again. But how do I know that the next time we have a fight, she's not going to do the same thing? I felt genuine remorse for the first one, but the second is the one I'm hung up on. I don't feel that she is really sorry for it, other than being sorry that I know now. Real consequences are so hard though. I feel like I have only one gun with only one bullet in it, and that bullet is life-changing and world-altering, with extreme reach and no take-backs, for both of us and the kids. It's so hard to drop the nuke. I wish I had a smaller, more precise weapon, so to speak. I'm sure there's someone else out there who would treat me better, appreciate me more, and who I'd have more in common with and be more physically compatible with. There are probably many women like that out there, but none of them are the mother of my kids. We have counseling in an hour. I am going to use that as an opportunity to tell her that this is absolutely the last chance, that if she wants reconciliation truly, that she needs to show genuine remorse and spend the next amount of time, to be discussed with the counselor, being absolutely 100% transparent, getting off the chat sites, telling me exactly where she goes when she leaves, when she will return, and who she's going to be with, and having zero contact with any other men outside of family and necessity, and her one old friend that she hangs out with sometimes. I, in turn, am going to work on what she considers to be the worst things about me, my unstable temper and being present for her and the kids. If they can go on for a while, maybe a few months, and we can get along and I can reach a point where I'm not constantly worried every time she says she's going out that she's gone to bone someone, maybe we can try actually working on our relationship. If it fails at the first stage though, if she's not willing to give up contact with other men and provide me the transparency that I need to rebuild the trust, then I will be forced to file for divorce on grounds of adultery, which lets us bypass the 1-year separation period that is mandatory in Canada and move directly into divorcing. We just got back from counseling, and she spent the majority of the time casting blame on me, while I spent a lot of the time on an angry tirade, calling her a WH0re. I'm giving it a little while, maybe a month, and if I still feel like this is wrong, I'm out. We actually discussed the possibility of finding a way to move to separate locations for a while, and she insists that if we do that we need to divorce. I suspect that if we did move apart, even for a while, it would give me the space I need to be able to make a calm and rational decision and figure out what I really need. It's so hard when I have to see her day in and day out and can't avoid interacting with her. No matter how much the thought of her fills me with rage, when I see her and talk to her, I can't help but remember the woman she was before, the mother of my children and my lover for the last 11 years. But then I see her glued to her phone, or going out for hours at a time, and I can't help but think she's up to no good. It's an awful situation, because I can't live with her but I can't not live with her, at least for the time being. I feel like she may be honest about her willingness to stop what she was doing, but she also might be too spiteful and willing to do it again either to feel good about herself or to get back at me. She's still convinced that I'm the root cause of all of our problems, and there's no way we can get back together unless I fix my own issues first, and they are plentiful and significant, don't get me wrong. I am convinced that, while I have issues too, unless I can forgive her, we can never get back together. I can't forgive her unless she's actually sorry, and she won't be sorry unless she actually feels like what she's done is wrong. I really don't feel like she thinks what she did was as wrong as it was. I'm going to give it a month or two. We've not strictly set a time frame, but that's my own internal one. I am tempted to find some woman for casual bonding too, nothing serious at all, since she was so willing to do it. Maybe that makes me a bit of a vindictive person, and maybe I am, but she did it first. Maybe if I did it too, I wouldn't care as much, but somehow, I think that's not the case. I'm giving it a little bit of time just to see how it pans out, but I'm going to do the banking stuff and talk to lawyers and such without her knowledge for now. Maybe I shouldn't, but I also put myself on Tinder to find a bit of casual bonding for me. I'm tired of having her be the only well I can draw from, and having it be dry, for me anyhow, unless someone else has made it wet and she wants to pretend I'm her dildo. Two can play this game, and I'm tired of trying to play a losing hand. I want to see what's going to happen this coming weekend. I'm hosting a charity gaming event at our house, and my parents will be taking the kids. They live about 200 kilometers away, in the same city as the first other man she slept with, who she said she has broken off all contact with. I don't believe for a second that she has actually broken off contact, as the implication all along has been that he was the thing that motivated her to separate originally. I had been planning to drive the kids down on Friday night, and my folks are going to bring them back on Sunday. Last night though, I overheard my wife talking to her mother and saying, I have to drive down to Windsor on Friday to bring the kids down. Now I'm not sure if she meant that she was going to be coming down with me, which would be a super awkward 4 hours in the car for us both, and if she was planning to drive down herself. On Friday, I am going to get the kids ready as though I am going to drive them down myself and see what she says, and if she insists on going down alone. If so, that would be positive proof that she's still in contact with him. Honestly though, at this point I'm running out of ways to be mad about it. If she has made that choice, then there's nothing I can do about that, but she can't have that and have me. I just want a decision either way at this point. Either she's willing to work on reconciliation or she's going to continue blaming me and doing harmful stuff while saying that she wants reconciliation in the long term. Having her very obviously go visit the first other man down there would be a pretty concrete decision, even if she refuses to actually commit to it verbally. I have already gone back on a couple dating sites. This time around, though, I'm not looking for love or a deep connection or anything of the sort. I don't need any more drama in my life. I'm just looking for new friends, a bit of bonding, and some fun. Although it would hurt her more, according to her, for me to go looking for love as opposed to just bonding. I'm not really just doing it for retaliation. I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a little bit of screw you involved, but it's mostly just to play a bit of her selfish my first game and get some for me. I don't need any evidence for friends and family. It doesn't matter what they think. She's admitted what she's done. What I need is evidence for me that she's truly unwilling to try to change back into the fantastic woman I fell in love with years ago. If she chooses to go see guy number one again, that will show me without a doubt that the woman she was is gone forever. If, however, she chooses not to, then that at least gives a sliver of hope that it's possible that she's willing to try to do the right thing and put in the hard work to rebuild. My feelings are obviously quite mixed. Part of me really wants her back, or rather, wants the old her back, from before all this garbage started. That's the part of me that still feels like I'm responsible because of how poorly I treated her in the months and years leading up to the separation. Another part of me is growing with the acceptance that if these other men really are what she wants, then the old her is lost forever anyhow, and it would be best for us both to truly go our separate ways, especially since the kids are still young enough that they won't understand. That part of me says, yes, I was a bad husband, but you were a bad wife too. There's no shame in quitting if it's not right. Still, the last part of me, which is shrinking daily but still very loud, is full to the brim with hate and anger and rage over both her actions and her smug justifications. That's the part of me that wants to grab her, throw her on the floor, and hate screw the hell out of her, then kick her out of my house and life forever. I hate knowing that she'll make it a living hell for me to see my kids afterwards if I force us to divorce. The financial hardships I can tolerate, to a point, anyhow, but being screwed out of having a good relationship with my favorite humans is not something I'm willing to accept. So, the two of us haven't been talking much in the last few days, basically limited to essentials regarding maintaining the home and taking care of the kids. She asked me yesterday what my plan was for Friday, and I said that I was going to bring the kids down after dinner, and she agreed, without any hesitation or resistance at all. There's no way to know if she has something planned for after I leave, but I'm taking it as a tiny, good sign, baby steps if you will. She also seems to be trying to be kinder and more considerate, and not really in the over-the-top fake way that she was when she was acting weird after the second man. Time will tell. A few days doesn't mean anything. While I've had jealousy, anger, and temper issues in the past, it's never been even remotely as bad as it has been in the last few months. The combination of the stress plus the fact that I've never been betrayed and treated like this in my life has led me to become extraordinarily mean and hurtful with my words to her, as well as short-tempered with the kids. That aspect of me is not something I like, nor is it something I want to retain. It's easily the ugliest thing I've ever seen in myself. Truthfully, I never want the past back the way it was. Our relationship for the last several years was broken in a lot of ways. I treated her poorly, she treated me poorly. I denied her needs, she denied mine. We both selfishly waited for the other to be what we needed, while denying them the fuel they needed to do so. What I do want back is the old me, the me that got angry but didn't explode, the me that got jealous but didn't feel the need to sneak and pry and control. I want back my old wife too. She really was a fantastic woman before we ground each other down to this. We talked last night, and it was actually largely civil, but I'm realizing more and more that this likely will never work out. She has insisted for the last while that I'm unstable and I need to be medicated, and she constantly insinuates that I'm the root cause of all of our problems. I went to my shrink last night, and she told me that if I didn't feel the way I do, then I'd need to be medicated. She also said that I totally deserve to be as mad as I've been for the way my wife has behaved. Finally, she agreed with both me and our marriage counselor that my wife and I should take whatever steps we need to physically separate, even if that means going into a bit of debt so that I can have my own apartment for a few months to stop the bleeding. When I told my wife that, she was super angry and absolutely opposed. Apparently, she knows better than two separate relationship and psych experts. She insisted again that if we did that we'd be guaranteed to divorce anyhow, and that it would be just adding pointless debt. It's possible that that's true, but whatever. I figure a few $1,000s of debt is totally worth it if we can use that time and space to heal and maybe get back together in the long run, but she doesn't. Truthfully, I think that she's just being selfish, just like she's been all along. She knows that if I got my own place she'd have to be like a single mother, at least some of the time. I'd still come over and take care of the kids and house and such. I had suggested every other day, but who knows. Plus, if we did that, we'd need to do a legal separation agreement, which would cost lawyer fees and such anyhow. I'm leaning right now towards just filing for divorce and getting the process started. I don't foresee how she and I will ever see eye to eye again, how she'll ever be happy with me again, and how I'll ever be happy with her again. At least getting the process started will put a light at the end of the tunnel, so we can work towards that closure. Like someone said earlier in the thread, Mark I believe it was, stop wasting time, the one thing we can't get back. I don't want to live in this limbo, unable to leave but unable to stay. I'm in my mid-30s, which isn't that old, but definitely isn't young anymore, and while I'm not looking to replace her right away or something, I would like to someday find someone who I can actually get old with. The longer I wait to start looking, the harder it will be. I don't want to waste any more of my life with someone who doesn't want to be with me, nor I with her. I still believe that she's being honest now, for what it's worth, but that might not be enough for me to be able to be okay with what she's done, nor for her to be okay with what I've said to her and how I treated her before. She has made it clear that she doesn't love me anymore, and while I love her still, I also hate her. I'm curious if anyone knows the answer to this, specifically in Canada at least. I'm the one who makes all the money here, she doesn't work. Actually, she has a decent job that she's on long-term unpaid leave from. She never went back after we had our son last year, though she could at any time, but we'd need to put the kids in daycare. If I start the process of separating financially, wherein I keep paying all the bills and such, paying for the kids and all that, but I transfer my money into my own account so that she cannot use it for anything, is that legally acceptable behavior? I mean, if I'm still paying for the kids and the house and the bills and the essentials, I figure if she wants money to have a gym membership, or to go shopping or take trips or do whatever, she should have to find her own cash flow to do so. Am I off base on this thought process, or does that make sense? I figure if she does not want to act like my wife, then she shouldn't get all the benefits of having a husband, in this case specifically access to my hard-earned dollars to spend on herself. Plus, if I can motivate her to get back to work, it will mean A, that I won't have to see her as much, and B, I will be less likely to need to pay her any spousal support after we finally divorce, which is my main financial worry about the whole process. I do not care about paying child support, my kids deserve that. If I get my computer, a desk, a chair, maybe a few dishes, a TV, and a couch, everything else she can have, just let me keep my future earnings. Last night was nice, we talked but did not really fight, but it did really help cement for me the fact that there's almost certainly no coming back from this. She is not mine any longer, now I need to work on not being hers. I have no wife, but she has been able to have a husband without needing to be a wife. Got to move on. Cannot keep wasting time. Lawyer meeting complete, arrangements have begun for a legal separation agreement. Came home and discussed matters with my wife, and it was amazingly civil and adult. We have pretty easily come to agreement on nearly every important point, but we're likely going to wait until after Christmas to get the lawyers to draw it up and for me to move out. We've even nearly figured out what to do about the house, which is one of the hardest things to resolve in our case. It is still a ways off, but at least I can tell that somewhere at the end of the tunnel is some light. I had the weirdest feeling last night, a sense of combined relief and sadness over it all. It is messed up, because I know that this is for the best, and I know that we'll both be happier once the dust settles and we're truly apart, but it's hard to shake the sense of loss. I suppose in a way it is like when a loved one suffers with sickness for a long time, then finally passes away. You know it is better for them to stop suffering, but it doesn't mean you grieve any less. A few months later, just wanted to throw this in. We are officially separated now, and I moved out of her house last week. It has cost me a lot of dollars, but the arrangement has basically been, she takes all our stuff and property, I pay for the legal fees, and she leaves my paychecks and pension and such alone. She has basically already moved her new boyfriend into the house, but it does not even bug me. I feel fantastic. It's an amazing blast of freedom being in my own apartment and outside of her domain. The only part that really sucks is not seeing my kids every day. She posted a few pics of the kids in the bath to Facebook yesterday, and tagged her new boyfriend in them. I almost started to cry, because those are my kids, and some random dude is getting to enjoy the things I should have with them. If she makes them call him dad, I'll be so mad. My comment, how did you guys like this final ending? OP finally escaped this person and he can pursue a better relationship from now on. Subscribe and there will be more lessons coming.